Measuring angles. We've got two angles set up for you in this video, and we're going to use a protractor to measure them both. So there's our protractor. Before we start using it, there are a couple of parts to it that I just want to point out for you. Now this point here, where this line and that line meet, that's called the crosshair. And the line running from here straight along to here, that's called the 0 to 180 line. Okay, let's start putting it to use to measure this angle up here first of all. Now all you need to know to do this is to make sure that you have the crosshair sat right on top of the point of the angle, right at the point where the two legs of your angle meet, and also that the 0 to 180 line sits directly on top one of the legs. So let's move it into place now. So with a bit of care, you can get it sitting nicely just where we want it. The crosshair right on the point. One of the legs of the angle is sitting right on the 0 to 180 line. Now whichever part of your protractor, or whichever side of your protractor rather, has the angle sitting underneath it, well, you use the scale to measure the angle. You read from the scale which starts with 0 at that particular side. So for this angle, it's the inside set of numbers. So you read up from 0 to 10 to 20 to 30. Now it's past 30 but not yet at 40. Somewhere in between 30 and 40. You'll see on any protractor that between 0 and 10 there are 10 individual marks. Each mark counts for 1 degree. So if you count these marks carefully here, you'll see that that angle measuring at 35 degrees. Okay, there you have it. Why don't you pause the video at this point, and if you have a protractor of your own handy, then why don't you try and measure this angle here directly from the screen. If you haven't, don't worry about it, I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so let's grab the protractor and pull it over to here. Now the first part of this is really straightforward. We get the crosshair right on top of the point where the two legs of the angle meet. The bit that we have to be careful of though is that the 0 to 180 line is not right on top of either of these legs. So at this point you need to spin the protractor round. There we go, that's it set up perfectly now. The crosshair is right at the point where the angles meet, and the 0 to 180 line is directly on top of this leg of the angle. Now remember what I said before, when you're trying to decide which scale and protractor to use the scale that starts at 0 on the side of the protractor with the angle underneath it. So that's this part of the protractor we're looking at, which means we're going to start reading the outside scale here. Okay, so why don't you pause the video again, have a look at this angle here. Remember, we're reading the outside scale this time, and see what you think it is. See if we agree. Okay, so if we start from 0 and count our way up to 10, 20, 30, 40 and beyond, we get to 80, 90, that there's 95, and if you count from 95 to 96 to 97 to 98. So our angle here is being measured at 98 degrees. There you have it, 98 degrees. So the key points to remember are, when you're measuring an angle, make sure that you have the crosshair right on top of the point between the two legs of the angle, where the two legs meet. So in this one, this point here, and in this one, this point here. And then make sure that you have the 0 to 180 line sitting directly on top of one of the legs, like we've got here. The final thing to say is that, almost like a check to make sure that you're reading the correct scale. If you look at this angle here, for example, you can hopefully see just from looking at it that it's a little bit more than 90 degrees. If you remember that, and if you by accident read off the wrong scale, you'll get a result which is less than 90, and hopefully that'll jog your memory, make you think, and make you check the correct scale. Thanks for watching.